In today's episode, we talk with Alexandra from the team at FeedCheck. FeedCheck is a reputation management solution that is focused on restaurants and brick and mortar locations. If you're not already managing your reputation online, it can really hurt business. And her and I talk in depth about the value of ensuring that you can manage those things from one single pane of glass. If you don't know me, my name is Jeremy Julian. I am the Chief Revenue Officer for CBS North Star. We wrote the North Star point of sale solution for multi units. Please check us out at cbsnorthstar.com. And now, on to our episode. Welcome back to the Restaurant Technology Guys podcast. I thank everyone out there for joining. As I say each and every time, I love that you guys hang out with us each week. And so today is no exception. Grateful to have Alexandra here on the show. So why don't you introduce yourself before we jump into kind of what you do? I know you've been in your current role for a little under a year, and I'd love to know a little bit of your background before we jump into what you get the privilege of doing professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone. Lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Alexandra. I'm from Romania, from Bucharest. A little bit about myself. I lived and breathed and everything in Bucharest, so I grew up here. And then went to university in the UK, in Oxford, not at Oxford University, another one there, but it was just as good. I studied communication, media, and culture just because I wasn't particularly set on like a career. So I wanted to do something that would give me a little bit more of an opening on kind of what career, what kind of track I wanted to take further. And with that, we did a couple of marketing modules, and it was something that kind of, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. It was something that it was really interesting talking about branding and marketing strategies and everything like that. And we actually got to do a couple of projects with a startup from Oxford, and that was really fun. So it was really interesting. And then after university, I came back to Romania and I started looking for positions in marketing, and I found a digital marketing internship at FeedCheck, which is where I'm working today. And yeah, from then on, it's history. It was lovely.
Awesome. So what is FeedCheck? I know you and I talked a little bit before we hit the record button, and I think it's something that has a huge place in restaurants and kind of restaurants and restaurant engagement and such. And I know there's a lot of people that either do it manually or are struggling even to keep up with what FeedCheck is solving for. So can you walk through what FeedCheck is before we jump into kind of how it got started and what problems it's solving?
Yeah, of course. So FeedCheck is a startup. We got started about 9 years ago, and it mainly works with brands looking to monitor reviews across locations and across different platforms. So we're thinking like restaurants or other hospitality brands that have a lot of different properties that they want to manage reviews for. And those reviews would come from, I don't know, like Google Maps, TripAdvisor, and a lot of other different platforms that maybe like regional, other things like that. And what we do basically is we collect all of the feedback, so it's a lot easier to manage. And then we do analysis for you. So we'd give you like reports and data based on what customers are saying, so that it's a lot easier for the brand to see what things are working, what things aren't, what things need improvement. And that's just, we're like streamlining the process of feedback there.
Yeah, no, and I'd love to walk through, Alexandra, how when you guys engage with a brand that doesn't have a solution like yours, talk me through for our listeners that are out there that are likely in the same scenario. How are they managing it prior to having a solution what you guys have? Is it I log into every web? Help me understand what that looks like.
It would be manually usually, yeah. So that would take a lot of effort. We actually, so before switching to the hospitality restaurants area, we worked a lot with product brands. And earlier this year, we went to CES in Las Vegas, and we talked to a lot of the companies there. And the ones that didn't have a solution were telling us that they were doing this whole process manually. So it'd be a team of people, yeah, logging into every website pretty much daily, especially if there were like big companies getting a lot of reviews, checking on what reviews are new, what people are saying that's not being noticed by them before, and tracking everything manually. And it's a process that takes a lot of mad effort and a lot of time. So yeah, what we're hoping is to optimize that for them. So make it a lot easier just to see everything in one place rather than switching platforms and switching platforms for each location that you have to track.
Yeah, and I know we also talked about multi-unit, and so you guys are also focusing on the multi-unit side. So going back to some of those brands that maybe obviously a consumer brand, maybe it's the Samsung website and they've got Samsung.com and Samsung.us and
Yeah.
Europe or whatever else, they're managing it through that. But in restaurants, especially when we've got 10 different restaurants that are out there, you've got to log in 10 different times to each of the different platforms, which just gets exponentially harder. Is that kind of what you guys are seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes it so much more difficult if you have multiple properties. Say, like you have multiple restaurants in a city or in a country, then obviously, yeah, it makes it so much more harder to track everything. And It just takes so much more time. And rather than doing that, obviously we actually have a partnership with Google, which allows us to basically log into the properties page on Google. And then from then on, we're able to access all the properties that they have. So from then on, we just gather all the feedback from there. And then with the other platforms, yeah, we just scan the web, crawl and everything and just gather everything and put it all in one place. So then you're able, and within FeedCheck, you're able to categorize them based on city, region, area, however you want to see them. And then you're able to look at them individually or through the categories. And that gives you like a much more like round picture rather than going back and comparing every single location with the other.
Love that. Explain to me what categories you said individual location versus categories. I'd love to understand a little bit about what that kind of, I guess you're thinking just in general.
Yeah, so we're thinking like where you can group each property. So say you've got, I'll just give you like an example. We've got a restaurant chain here in Romania and they have a couple properties in one city and then a few in another. So they'll be able to group them by city if they want to focus on that. Or I don't know, there's a lot of different ways that people can group them. So it's based on how they want to see them, so how they want to track them. There's also the opportunity to add competitors as well. So you can look at competitor feedback and then see how you're doing compared to the rest of the market. And then you'd add all of your properties and then competitor properties, or you'd add a category. So one of the regions and then the competitor region, and they see it more narrowed down so you can get like a better understanding of everything.
Yeah, and it's so critical. I know just talking to restaurant operators how much different responded to reviews versus non-responded to reviews, whether it be negative or positive, how much that changes really consumer behavior towards that brand. I'd love for you to talk a little bit, Alexandra, about what you guys are seeing with those brands that you guys are working with, because again, talking to restaurant operators, if you're engaged with your consumer on these sites, they want to be heard, they want to be seen, they want to know that their feedback was taken, regardless of whether it was good feedback or bad feedback. They want to know that they are being heard. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on what you guys are seeing in that and really how it drives top line sales and such.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what we're seeing is that a lot of the companies that are getting the feedback aren't actually engaging with it. And that's companies that we're working with just in general, like in the market. So I think it's something like 75% of businesses that don't actually respond to their negative reviews, which is absolutely detrimental to their reputation. I think it's something so significant that when you get a negative review, that you're aware of it, you acknowledge it. And if it's anything like apologizing for the mistake or the inconvenience that you have caused the consumer, because you want them to recommend you to friends. You want them to leave a positive review so that more people are willing to come to your location. And with that, I think one of the main things that we're doing is that we send alerts when new reviews come in, but also these alerts are fully customizable. So say you only want to receive alerts when you get a review under 3.5 stars. You can only get those alerts, or you can fully customize them to receive them when you want them for the things that matter most to you, so that you can fully protect your reputation. And another great feature, it's actually a new one, is that we have AI generated responses. But once again, those are like fully tailored to the review that someone's left. So it's not going to be like your generic, oh, thank you for your feedback. It's going to be able to like include the name of the person. It's going to be able to relate to something that the person actually said. And it's going to help you protect your reputation if you're unable to log into the platform and type your own response to the review. AI does it for you automatically from our platform. So it saves you time and it saves your reputation at the same time.
Yeah, that's incredible. I didn't even think about that from a use case perspective. One of the things that I know a lot of feedback platforms have, and I think it's great from the perspective of the brand voice and even the response. Again, you can oftentimes tell whether the owner really cares about solving your problem or not when you get that review. I'd love to. And then you had shared with me that they've got teams of people that sit and this is what they do every day and that's their job. And having that be able to sound like what the brand is looking for. I'd love for you to share a little bit, whether that's templatized or the AI that you guys are using. Help me understand why that's so critical to really understand and have it come out. I was talking to somebody just yesterday that's doing some voice AI stuff, and they were working with a brand that's very heavily in the surf industry. And so they're using surf type words versus, which really wouldn't work at a high end steakhouse. It wouldn't be like, dude, you should chill out a little bit. But at a surf brand, that works fine from a voice AI. It doesn't work at a buttoned up steakhouse. And so I know in even responding to reviews, having the voice of who you are and what it is that you're looking for is pretty critical to ensuring that you keep that brand promise, because people read the reviews when they're going out to dine at one of your restaurants or one of the restaurants that you guys serve.
Yeah, of course. No, so what we do is we make sure that we can have this kind of feature that you can tell AI what kind of brand tone to use. So the tone of voice, if you're looking to use any particular words or if you're looking to avoid any particular words, trying to keep that as close to your brand voice as we can, helping you out. Obviously, it's AI. Yeah, there's bound to be some errors here and there, but we're trying to make it as seamless as possible so that it fits perfectly with the actual brand.
Love it. At the same time, have you guys found in your data, and again, I've seen some statistics posted online, kind of the star reviews. And if you're not at 3.8 stars, if you're what it drives as far as the performance of the top line sales within the brand. Do you guys have any data on that that just says, if I'm at 3 stars, I get my sales are here. And as I move up to 3.5, because again, one of the things that you had said, close to 80% of people don't even respond. So they don't know about the problems. If they're not knowing about the problems, they can't drive those numbers up. And so I'd love, if you have anything, I'd love to understand what it is that I guess you guys have seen in the data as people are starting to drive from 3 to 3.5 to 4 and upwards within those responses.
I don't think we have anything. I will say we are a team of 3 people, so it's a little hard to go through all of that and analyze it. But I will say from the stats that we've been using and from what we're aware from in the market, we know that a lot more. So I think it's over 80% or so of consumers feel a lot more loyal to brands that respond to their reviews and resolve their complaints. Even if it's anything just like acknowledging that someone's left a review, whether it's positive or negative, someone's left a review, the brand hears it, acknowledges it, knows that the customer cared enough to say something. And then the consumer on their part also feels that the brand actually cares about what they say. So obviously that's gonna make the consumer feel a lot more closer to that brand. It's gonna drive loyalty. It's gonna drive trust. And from that you got word of mouth. So the people are gonna talk about that restaurant.
Their positive
Yeah,
experience there.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly. And even I have some stats. I have them written down because I knew I wanted to talk about this. But it said that I'm pretty sure they're from Bright Local. So it said 77% of consumers would support the business that responds to all of its reviews. But not, that number drops drastically to 47% who would support the business that doesn't respond to its reviews. So it's a huge drop in the market.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot, like that's a big chunk of consumer base that you're going to be losing if you're not actively engaging with the reviews. And obviously if you're monitoring them, and within our platform, we're able to like highlight keywords that people are using. If it's anything like trending topics, if we see anything that multiple people are talking about in the reviews, we're going to highlight that for you. And we're also going to give you the context in which they're used so that you have the big picture, the full picture of what's happening. If you're not actively engaging with that stuff, and if you're not learning from it and trying to find new strategies to implement to make changes or improve, if you're not looking at what your competitors are doing that's better, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, you're not going to be able to stand out in the market.
Yeah, no, and I'd love to dig a little bit deeper into kind of some of the feedback and how you guys trend that. I was talking to a restaurant operator a couple weeks ago at a trade show, and they had a problem because they weren't getting feedback. They had a feedback system in place and got feedback after this. And now a word from one of our sponsors. Every restaurant operator understands the chaos of a restaurant kitchen during the meal rush. Restaurant Technologies Total Oil Management Solution is an end-to-end automated oil management system that delivers, filters, monitors, and recycles your cooking oil, taking the dirtiest jobs out of your kitchen and letting your employees focus on more important tasks. Control the kitchen chaos with Restaurant Technologies and make your kitchen safer. No upfront cost. To learn more, check out rti-inc.com or call 888-796-4997. And ultimately, they were having a problem because one of their kitchen team members was salting their French fries with regular iodized salt instead of kosher salt. And they were using the proper amount, but if you know anything about salt,
Yes.
iodized salt is a lot saltier than kosher salt. And so the feedback that they were getting was that they had a lot of problems with their fries. And you know what? The fries were too salty. Everybody was giving negative feedback. It gave the owner the understanding on how to come into the property and go solve for that. Is that kind of some of the results? Or I'd love to have you talk, Alexandra, about how FeedCheck can help drive different behavior. The steak was undercooked. The steak was overcooked. The fries were too salty. The food was cold when I picked it up. Whatever those types of things are, is that kind of how you guys are trying to bubble those up to the top to help them not only respond to the reviews, but to solve the root cause of why they had a negative review?
Yeah, no, of course. So there's a lot of different ways you can deal with the information that you get from FeedCheck. So one of the main ones is obviously, yeah, troubleshooting and seeing where the problems lie. And with the reviews, if there's any like common pain points that are popping up, we're gonna have them highlighted for you. So we have what we like to call is like our word cloud within FeedCheck. So it's the trending topics and it's like the most commonly used words. And if you click on any one of them, it's going to show you the exact context in which they're being used. So like the most common are going to pop up and then you're going to see exactly what the thing is. You're going to be able to get alerts if there's any changes in trends. So if the ratings are suddenly dropping, if there's any kind of change in the customer sentiment, if it's getting more traction or if it's suddenly dropping a little bit, you're gonna get a notification on that. And then you're gonna be able, with the other data, you're gonna be able to like track where the problems lie. There was one thing I wanted to mention as well, but I forgot what it was. I think we can get back to that. But yeah, so oh yeah, I remember. So with all of the data that you're getting, you can route it. So you can route the alert and everything else to whatever department it is that actually handles it. So you can go into the customer experience people, the servers and everything, and see if there's any issues in there. Or you can go to the cleaning staff, let's say, if people are complaining about, I don't know, like the bathrooms aren't clean or anything like the tables could do a little bit more of a wipe or things like that. We can put them into atmosphere and that would be like location manager, like the music is loud. I don't know anything about what the actual like service quality is like. And then we could also take them into the marketing department and say, if there's any 5-star reviews or really shining reviews that you want to highlight, you can use them as testimonials on your website. You can use them in marketing materials and just like highlight what is actually working for you. Use them as differentiators for marketing materials. So that's really great because then there's a lot of different use cases for a lot of people in the company, but it's all coming from the same platform. So it's really
Yeah, I didn't
similar.
even think about the positive reviews because everybody, at least for me, I oftentimes think about how do I solve this
Yeah.
dissatisfied customer? But at the same time, how do I highlight this customer that's in love with our product and is looking to do that? Are you finding that has been helpful? Because it is hard to get that positive feedback and you want to be able to highlight that, obviously, because again, the statistics of people that are dissatisfied tell so many more people, the people that are really satisfied don't tell hardly anybody. And so are you guys finding that to be a useful means for people in marketing to be able to drive those kind of success?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know with a lot of product brands that we've been working with, they definitely advertise their positive feedback on their own websites. So obviously that's a huge selling point, especially if with it being like right next to the buy button or anything like that. With hospitality brands as well, there's another use case that I just remembered of with the restaurant chain that we're working with here in Romania. So one of the ways they use FeedCheck is actually to track like the service performance. So they'll have their server's name, their waitress names highlighted within the platform, and then they'll be able to track how they're doing. And then I think they use it as like a reward system.
Hmm.
So whoever's getting like the most mentions and reviews, whoever has like the best performance that month would get like employee of the month kind of thing. So that's another
That's
fun way.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now you're getting direct feedback from the consumers and you're not, well, every restaurant should be touching the table and talking to them and getting feedback. They also seeing it digitally. And now I can use it for marketing as well as to coach my staff, either tell them how great they're doing or give them feedback about things that they could be better at. You talked a lot about Google and how you guys have login to Google. Are you guys looking at other platforms in addition to Google? I know so many of the review stuff has really gone so far to the Google does very large percentages of it, but I know there's platforms out there, TripAdvisor, Yelp, and some others that are you guys scouring those as well in a digital automatic way, or is it a bit more manual on some of those other platforms?
No, so all of them are automatic. Google, obviously, with the partnership, it's a lot easier on there. But with TripAdvisor and Yelp, they're already like integrated within our platform as well. So that's pretty easy as well. But if we're talking to any company and there's any websites that they are willing that they would like to track, and we don't necessarily have them already like programmed, we can easily do that. So that's never a stopping point for us. It's not any kind of part of the setup or of us like talking to anyone that's like looking to buy like a reputation management software. Adding a new platform for us to track is not a problem at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've talked to restaurant owners about is really managing the third-party delivery providers and the feedback that are on those. Have you guys tackled that yet? DoorDash, Uber, as far as the delivery, because, and it's hard as a restaurant owner because you don't control once it leaves your door and the DoorDash driver takes it. And so I just didn't know if you guys had tackled that. And if so, how has it been received? And if not, how would you suggest owners and operators deal with it if you guys don't have it in the FeedCheck platform?
That's a good point. We actually haven't tackled that. No, I don't think like we mainly maybe talked about it, but it's only been like in passing. Because obviously that like you said, it's third party apps and we don't exactly know how the reviews policies work with that because we know, for instance, again, in the product sector, Amazon has very strict policies on crawling reviews and they're changing all the time. So we don't exactly know how those delivery apps have their policies. What I'd say is that would have to be like a manual process, I think, at least for starters, until maybe we can figure out how to implement that as well. But yeah, just like keeping an eye on what people are saying. It's a little bit more difficult. I think we don't have DoorDash in Romania, so I'm not sure exactly how it works. But with the delivery apps that we have here, they don't actually show you the reviews. They only show like rating. So it'll say
Okay.
liked by 95% of users, or is that like 4.3 stars, but it wouldn't actually give you the reviews or any comments about delivery or anything, which I know a lot of people have had issues with. I've had to wait like 2 hours for Indian food one time and it was not fun.
And I think that's, as a restaurant brand, I know it's one of the areas as they're driving more to third party and or off premises dining, it's figuring out how to manage that customer expectation. So I'd love to, even in that, are there any best practices on how to address those needs that you guys are thinking about as you guys are going towards your product development? Or is it just, it's too far out on the roadmap? You guys got to go dig in a little bit more.
We've definitely got to go dig in a little bit more. But I think just as a general like piece of advice would be just keep like communication open with the third party apps that you're working with, but also with your customer base. Obviously, or with ordering through a delivery app. I think people know that there's like obviously the intermediator of the person who's actually picking up the food and delivering it to your house. But a lot of the times with the frustration of it being late or with the order being wrong or other things like that, like it's gonna come to the actual location. They're gonna have to face the critics of that. I think is just like highlighting in the like nicest, most polite way that it's not something that they can help if the delivery driver is late or if traffic is really bad. Like it's just simply out of their hands. But I think also what would really help is being willing to offer, I don't know, like a voucher or anything
Mhm.
that would help the customer come back and be a little less upset about the situation than they would normally be if they got no resolution to that.
And I think, like you said earlier in the statistic about just even responding, the minute you respond, things change.
Absolutely.
Respond just to say, I acknowledge you. There was nothing we could do about the delivery driver getting stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
I apologize. Come in and I'll buy you an appetizer. I'll buy you a drink or whatever. Those are things that they can control and they'll help with that. And so I love that thought to just ensure that you do respond. You've talked a lot about where you guys are at now. You guys are in Romania. Where the breadth of where FeedCheck, because it sounds like it could work ubiquitously across the globe, but I'd love a little bit of understanding as to where are you guys at and how much growth are you guys expecting stateside in North America? Just talk in general, where are you guys at and where are you guys going?
Funnily enough, yeah, we are based in Romania, but actually a lot of the companies that we're working with are based in the USA. So, that helps. There's no kind of barrier there. We worked a lot with product brands in the USA, but we also have hospitality brands from Europe. So that
Okay.
makes it a lot easier. There's a chain of bakeries that we're working with in the UK. There's a restaurant that I mentioned here. And there's a few others as well that we've been helping out with the review editing part as well. We're pretty global. There's no issue with that. And we make do even with the time differences, like there's no problem. Like the support is always there. We always prioritize our customers and we always want to make sure that everything is working smoothly. If there's any bugs that we're told of by the people by the brands using our platform, then we're right on it. We want to make sure that everything's smooth and working for you.
Yeah. So talk me through what an engagement might look like. If I'm sitting here and I'm a restaurant owner, I'm a restaurant operator, I'm sitting here listening to you talk and they don't have a solution in place. What does it look like? How do they engage? What does the onboarding look like? And how do you guys typically bring people on? Because going from zero to all of the platforms and all of the reviews and all of the feedback could sound overwhelming. And I'd love for you to talk our listeners through how you guys go about that portion of things.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it can be scary. How we try to make it easier is because this is going to be like a bit of a longer process, especially working with chains of restaurants. They have a lot more like documentation that needs to take place and a lot of people that it needs to go through before it gets approved. What we do initially is we'd schedule a call just to find out exactly what the needs are. So what kind of platforms we're talking about, tracking, how many locations there are, kind of things that you're looking to find and what issues you're looking to pinpoint and everything like that so that we're set on exactly how we can help you out and what we can do for you. And then the next step would be for us to personalize a demo for you. We'd create a demo account and then we put a few of your locations in place and then try to get them hopefully spread out a little bit so you can see like different regions and everything. And we'll categorize them if you have any preferences as you wish, or we'll try to find some categories that would be fitting. And then we'll schedule another call and then walk you through exactly the platform, show you all the features, show you the AI portions of it, and everything that can help you out. We'll try to generate a few responses to reviews just so you can see exactly how to use it and see if you have any questions about how to use it and everything else. And if we're in agreement and we like what's happening there, we'll move forward with an offer and then see if that works. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you guys are I tease oftentimes about it on the show. We made it probably 5 minutes in before you started talking about AI, but this to me seems like a really good use case for AI. I'd love for you to dig into kind of a little bit more about that before we kind of wrap up and people learn how to get a hold of you guys. Why why did you guys think AI was such a good use case? Because I personally love the idea of training the AI to at least give you suggested responses to people. And I'd love to kind of see what have you seen already out in the field and how is it working for you guys as you guys have started to roll it out?
No, yeah. I think the main thing we were thinking of when we wanted to make this feature was time saving. So a lot of the times even though we'd send alerts to people notifying them of new reviews, they'd have to log into the platform, see what the new review is, read it, and then try to think of a response and then go into the actual review platform and then post it from there. And obviously that's like a lot of different things that you have to go through before you're actually able to give the response to the person who left the review. And that's not necessarily an issue. Like that can be done easily within 5 minutes or so. We thought
Mhm.
that we can optimize that even further and even help them out with review suggestions. So when we set out to make this feature, it was just trying to like help and streamline the whole process once again. And yeah, so we basically what we do is we give you the opportunity to like train AI with the brand voice, a tone of voice, everything like that, kind of words that you want to use and the feeling that you want to send out to your audience. And based on that and based on the review that's being responded to, you can have a not generic answer. So it's not
Mhm.
just gonna be, yeah, thank you for your feedback. We're gonna get right on that. No, it's gonna be related to what the person is actually saying. And it's gonna once again, it's gonna build trust and it's gonna give the person that feeling that they're actually being listened to. And it's more than just that. I think it's really important to understand that our AI does more than just responding to reviews, but it also goes in deep into the analysis as well. With all the reviews that we're aggregating on our platform, it's going to do analysis based on those. And that's how you're going to be able to see more specific information. So we have this like AI helper, we call it in our platform. And you can go and ask specific questions, like more specific questions than our data can answer if you have any curiosities based on the reviews. And once again, you can see them like on individual level or on category level and see exactly how your locations are performing, how your staff is, but more in depth. So it's going to analyze all of the reviews that we have on our platform and then just give you a more narrowed down answer.
And so that's amazing. And I think for what you shared with on the time savings, one last thing that I'd love to talk about is just kind of do you guys have the stop gaps in there to ensure that everything gets responded to? Because at times you'll see in the review thread a review, a response, and then the customer might log back in. Are you guys managing any of that to ensure that the feedback's being heard? And if there's a back and forth dialogue, that you guys have a way to train either the AI or the owner to be able to manage that? Because again, when it's a human, and I've seen the articles of people that blow up on customers and those kind of things. Obviously, don't want any of the AI or any of your reviews to be negative back towards the customer. But I'd love to ensure because again, for me as a consumer, I hate it when I go to give feedback, positive or negative, and I don't get any response. It's really challenging for me. And to understand how you guys have ensured that gets done, especially for those that are not looking to turn on AI to make those things happen.
No, of course. So besides obviously the alerts that we're giving out when your reviews come in, fortunately, I don't think I know if we're tracking like responses to responses because that's a bit more on like the technical side, and I'm not aware of like all the details of all the like some bits of that. But I think if there can be a way to track it for a platform, or I guess just through logging in on each individual review platform and then see from then on. But with I know with some review platforms, there's only like a specific amount of replies they can have. So it might be the case that the customer leaves a review and then only the brand can respond. And I don't know if there can necessarily be a back and forth about that. But obviously, yeah, you can answer to reviews manually as well. It doesn't have to be through AI if people
Doesn't
are
have to be
scared
through
of
the
that.
AI.
Yeah.
Love that. You already shared what the expectation would look like. How would people want that are sitting here and going, "Hey, I want to get going." How would they learn more? How would they get connected to you and or your team to be able to move forward and test, like you said earlier?
Yeah. So they can go on our website. That's feedcheck.co/restaurant technology guide. And from then on, you'll get there's a button right there that takes you to scheduling a demo, I'm pretty sure. And if not, there's more information on the website as on the homepage. So where that link would take you, there's a presentation video as well. So it gives you like a little snippet of what the platform looks like, and it gives you a little bit more information of exactly what we are and how we do things. And you can also find information on pricing, on integrations with other platforms that we have as well, what's necessary for you to know before everything gets going. But of course, any other questions, feel free to email us. There's the email, it's at the bottom of the website as well. So yeah, anything, we're there to help out.
Yeah, no, and the one thing I would say about Alexandra is very responsive. So from that perspective, I know that not only getting feedback to your customers, but even from them to be able to learn more about their platform. So thank you. Is there anything that we missed that you would want to share with our audience that you think we've overlooked? I love the AI. I love the fact that it's helping to drive behavior as well as respond to the guests. And so is there anything else that we missed as far as our conversation today?
No, honestly, I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much everything that we wanted to cover anyways. But I will just say as a general note to leave people with, honestly, don't underestimate the power of feedback on foot traffic. Like I know online feedback seems like kind of like a thing that's only online, but it has such a deep impact because I honestly, like from my group of friends, I couldn't tell you. I don't think there's any one of us that doesn't check Google Maps before we go out to a new place. If
100%.
we're thinking like, oh, let's go have dinner somewhere, let's go to a bar, we're always going to be on Google Maps and we're always going to be checking the reviews and all of the information on there. Keep those monitored, always answer to reviews, and just try to have control of your reputation. And obviously, if you can handle it, we're sure to help.
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you guys for solving this problem that a lot of people are struggling to deal with, or they're dealing with it manually, and it keeps them up at night. Love that. Love that you guys have created this solution to really help accelerate operators. That's really what this podcast is all about, is helping restaurant operators to be able to go do what they love doing and having technology to augment what those things are. And so to our listeners, guys, like I said at the onset, I know you guys have got lots of choices, so thank you guys for hanging out. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the show. Give us a rating on your favorite podcast player. Again, subscribe to the show, subscribe to the newsletter. Alexandra, thank you so much. And to our listeners, make it a great day.